As Deku faces off against Shigaraki, the villain's body continues to evolve, pushing Deku to unleash his max power to finish the fight. At that same time though, the sun beats down relentlessly, yet a shadow creeps over the UA skybase, casting an eerie darkness over the battlefield. And this is because there's actually a solar eclipse going on, and it only adds to the tension and drama of the moment. Meanwhile, Naruto, Kakashi, and Guy are locked in a fierce battle against Obito and his controlled Edo Tensei Jinchuriki. The three ninja are struggling to gain the upper hand, and things only get worse when Obito forces several of the Tailed Beast users to transform into their full form. The Jinchuriki ready their Tailed Beast bombs poised to strike down our team of ninja, but Naruto feels an odd tension in the air, something that he's never felt before. He consults with Kurama, who agrees that something is off, and so Naruto makes a bold move, releasing Kurama so the two can team up and face this threat together. As the moon reaches its peak in the night sky, it begins to turn a deep rusty red, and this is because in Naruto's world a lunar eclipse is taking place, and it's an ominous sign of things to come. In this moment, something happens as Deku rushes towards Shigaraki at top speed preparing a punch, and Naruto prepares to do the same as he rushes towards the Tailed Beast bombs targeting Guy and Kakashi. As both boys reach their peak speed, something unexpected occurs. Naruto, in his Bijou mode for the very first time, rushes forward. However, instead of the 7 Bijou bombs that he was expecting to find at the end of this dash, he comes face to face with a man who he's never seen before in his life. The man had long white hair and fingers growing out from all over his body. Not really understanding what's happening though, Naruto looks around confused and disoriented, not recognizing anything in this environment he's in, filled with all sorts of new sights and sounds. And as the smoke starts to clear around Naruto, the man in front of him looks at him and says, "What is this? Who are you?" Naruto responds, Hold up. Who is this? Where am I? Kurama chimes in, telling Naruto that something still feels really different here, and that this must be the result of one of Obito's jutsu. Could it be that they're already in some form of the infinite Tsukuyomi? Shigaraki thinks to himself for a moment before realizing that this is his opportunity, and he slams his hand against the ground, saying, "Whoever you are, this is checkmate for you heroes." As decay starts to spread through the UA skybase and completely crumble the section that Shigaraki is in as the villain begins to laugh. But Naruto luckily jumps with his extreme speed and good intuition, realizing that whatever this is, it seems to be spreading and just keeps going and going. He's almost impressed. That is until he spots several bodies littered around the battlefield. Naruto says, "Heroes? I don't even have time to figure out what's going on. But if these are all heroes scattered around the battlefield, then," as Naruto says this, he lifts his hand and forms a massive Rasen Shuriken, with 2 small tiny micro Rasen Shurikens floating around it, and he throws his technique not at Shigaraki, but at the UA skybase, slicing off a big chunk of it that wasn't already being decayed, which begins to fall off as it's been disconnected from the main UA skybase, saving Mirko, Bakugo, and the other heroes who've already lost their fights. As this large chunk of UA falls, Shigaraki is completely befuddled. What is this? Who is this? What is this quirk? And as he thinks this through, we see an orb of strange energy explode under him from beneath the rubble. And as it does, the area of the Rasen Shuriken expands, with Shigaraki caught in the blast, destroying the largest of the pieces of the UA skybase before they're supposed to fall down onto a nearby city, with the 2 smaller Rasengans flying in a spiral pattern to seek out any smaller debris and clear them as well. Inside of the Rasen Shuriken, Shigaraki is torn apart on the microscopic level. He feels as if there are tiny blades slicing him and piercing him from all over, and this is a level of pain that he's never experienced, not even during the Star and Stripe fight that pushed him to his very limit. However, as Shigaraki's mind starts to go blank and his body is nearly wiped away by this ability, All For One's personality starts to take the forefront a bit more, enhancing Shigaraki's healing to the point where he starts to heal his cells as they're being destroyed. All For One thinks to himself that in just the one moment that this yellow-haired man has been here, he already figured out who the good guys and the bad guys are, gained a rough idea of how Shigaraki's decay works, and launched a counter strategy to separate Shigaraki from UA and even stop the decay. The villain thinks, "I don't know who this is or what ability he has, but I do know one thing. I want it." Elsewhere, Guy Sensei yells to Kakashi, "Is this it? I guess it's time." for me to activate the 8th gate. But Kakashi warns Guy that he won't survive this battle if he does that, thinking that maybe he can Kamui some of the Bijou bombs away, but realizing it isn't very likely because he doesn't have much chakra left. As the Bijou launch their blast towards the two ninja, a massive burst of air and smoke swooshes in front of them, and Kakashi looks up as he clears the dust in his eyes, and in front of him, he swears that he can see Guy in his 8th gate form, realizing that something just smacked away those projectiles at an insane speed. But as he cries out, "Guy!" on his left through the smoke, he hears, "Huh? What?" It's at this point that Kakashi realizes that Guy is actually still standing beside him. So who's this? Where's Naruto? He questions this as he looks around in a panic, but still not seeing his student, he looks forward once again to get a better look at the young man standing between him and the tailed beast. And no matter how good Kakashi's eyesight is, he's still very perplexed at what he's seeing. It looks like Rock Lee, or one of Guy's students, is standing in front of him wearing one of those green jumpsuits. But what's with all these gauntlets and the crazy legwear that the boy is wearing? Kakashi looks over at Guy and questions, "Do you know him? For some reason, he kinda reminds me of you." And Guy responds that that's funny because he was actually about to ask Kakashi the same thing. However, when Guy spots Deku's yellow scarf and green outfit, he tells Kakashi that this boy must be a fan of his father, who must have trained in secret to become powerful enough to save Dai's son on this day. But Kakashi just kinda makes a face that says, "Really?" And Guy puts on this huge textbook smile and jokes saying, "Yeah, no, I have no idea what's going on here, but look," as he points to the boy. "What happened? Mirio, All for One, Shigaraki, where are you?" For a second, Deku's mind races as he wonders if this is some sort of quirk affecting his mind. However, the first One for All user floats out of Deku, telling him that he doesn't sense Shigaraki or his brother anymore, so wherever they are and whatever tricks the villains pulled, somehow Deku is somewhere else entirely, with the rest of the vestiges now standing behind Deku to look around and gather whatever information they can, as Deku starts to theorize that maybe using Gear Shift caused some sort of anomaly that sent him back in time. After all, that did happen in a movie that he watched when he was younger. But the second user says that's not how physics works actually, and no matter how powerful his quirk has gotten after being mixed into One for All, it can't be the cause of this. This is something on an entirely different level. As Deku pulls out his notebook and starts documenting everything he sees, not really understanding the danger of the situation, Kakashi makes a face somehow like he just got really disappointed, and he yells to Deku, "Who are you? Where's Naruto?" But Deku turns back and says, "Excuse me, sorry, I don't know who you're looking for, but do you know the fastest way back to Musutafu, Japan?" But before Kakashi can even answer Deku in this moment, from the massive dust cloud kicked up by the projectiles from earlier, Deku turns as a massive red ape with burning eyes lunges in front of him and tries to crush him with a full force lava-filled punch. But Deku dodges this using danger sense in his speed as he flies upwards into the air to avoid the attack, looking down going, "Whoa! I've seen giant quirk users, but I don't think I've ever seen an ability like this. What's going on here?" Though, as Deku floats in the air, he hears a voice coming from right in front of him. "Who are you?" Deku looks up and realizes that he's actually face to face with something. A man in a white ringed mask stands on top of the large ape-like creature and repeats himself, talking through the mask in a slightly annoyed yet confused tone. "Again, who exactly or what are you?" Deku is shocked because he was only just a few feet away from the man before he backed off and created some distance between the two, and he questions why his danger sense didn't let him know about this guy. Deku responds, wondering if this means that the masked man is actually not a bad guy, saying, "Sorry, I'm really confused and I feel like I'm not supposed to be here." And it's there where Deku spots the other tailed beasts all lingering behind the large ape as if they were waiting to be commanded, and Obito responds to Deku saying, "I won't ask you again. If you won't answer me, then I can make you tell me." As from the mask, we see a large fireball appearing out of nowhere that shoots towards Deku's direction, but Deku, realizing that he's in trouble, activates his black whip in midair and flies towards the massive fireball, wrapping it in his black whip tendrils and swinging it back towards Obito, who completely ignores it, phasing right through it as his hand reaches towards Deku's neck. And in that moment, for just a flash of an instant, Deku's danger sense does activate, but for some reason, he only feels danger coming from under the mask in a tiny area roughly the size of an eye, as well as danger emanating from the man's fingertips and hand as it's about to reach Deku. However, thanks to the spinning that Deku did as he swung away from the fireball, he's actually built up enough Fajin energy to use in one of his limbs, and with Danger Sense and the other vestiges screaming in Deku's ear that no matter what, he can't allow himself to get grabbed by this man without knowing what he's capable of, Deku lets out a small amount of Black Whip from the spot that Obito was about to grab, causing Obito to actually grab the Black Whip instead as he tries to use Kamui to send it away. And in that exact moment, Deku activates Fajin and Gear Shift at full blast for just a moment, and he sends a 45% Detroit Smash right into Obito's face, landing a punch that actually shocks Obito and sends him crashing down towards the ground with his back on the floor, as this punch rocks him full on. A cloud of smoke forms around Obito on the ground as Kakashi, Guy, and now even Killer Bee react, saying whoever this is, he's no Naruto, but he's definitely some sort of genius. Kakashi comments that somehow in the short while that this boy has been here, he managed to dodge Obito's attack, reflect the power of a tailed beast, and even outplayed Obito, who was a master at using his space-time ninjutsu, landing a blow where Kakashi and the others couldn't. Deku lands in front of Kakashi and Guy once more, with Guy saying, "How did you do that? What village are you from?" And Deku responds saying, "Well, I'm not from a village, I'm from Musutafu City in Japan. But back where I'm from, I have a friend who has a really similar ability that once humbled me and all of my friends. So naturally, I asked him everything about how his power worked, so if we ever rematched, things would go differently. However, it was just a hunch that the masked man would have to materialize to actually land an attack on me, because just like Mirio, it's not like he can hit you while being 100% intangible. Something has to be tangible to actually make contact with you. And because Deku was getting a weird vibe from the mask itself, that's where he placed his attack." It's here where Guy and Kakashi start to fill Deku in on exactly what is happening here, saying that they don't understand who he is, but they don't have the luxury to worry about that right now. In front of them is their greatest enemy, a ninja who wishes to bring the world to its end by stealing away the 9 legendary Bijou beasts to feed them to the large statue poking out of the ground over there. And like Deku guessed, so far it's been impossible to land an attack on him, and all hope seemed lost. But now Kakashi thinks that they might still have a fighting chance. Deku says, "So, you're in trouble. If that's the case, sorry, I don't know who Naruto is, but if you don't mind, I'd like to know all about your quirk and what you can do so we can beat this guy and I can get back to Japan because my friends are still in danger." But it's at this point where Kakashi and Guy both look at Deku mystified, saying, "Quirk?" The first and second users appear behind Deku, telling him that no matter how he feels about these people, he must leave because they can't allow All For One or Shigaraki to advance any further. But as Shigaraki looks at Deku with his Sharingan activated, he says, "Who are they?" Deku and the vestiges look over at Kakashi, shocked that he can see them, and Deku explains that these are his precious predecessors who fought against evil over the course of history, and that long story short, Deku was given a power meant to protect others. So he actually disagrees with the vestiges and says, "How can I leave when in front of me someone is in danger? Your powers were given to me to save people, and that's exactly what I'm going to do." Kakashi repeats that he doesn't know what a quirk is, but from what he's been able to pick up in the conversation, it must be some sort of power or ninjutsu unique to Deku. Kakashi says that maybe one of these quirks is responsible for why Deku is here and Naruto isn't, and says that if that's the case, then maybe Naruto is actually wherever Deku was, sending a sinking feeling into Deku's chest, knowing that whoever that is actually in grave danger. But Kakashi and Guy reassure Deku that Naruto is strong, and like Deku, he doesn't usually back down from a challenge, so Deku may actually be surprised when he goes back because Naruto might actually handle everything on his own. And in response to that, Deku says that he hopes that he can meet him then when this is all said. And in response to that, Deku says that he hopes that he can meet Naruto when this is all said and done. But as Obito stands up, he says, "Are you done having your little meeting?" And we see pillars of flame sweeping the battlefield, blown in Deku's direction by Obito's large fan. As once again the different tailed beasts prepare a volley of tailed beast bombs, and Deku tells Kakashi that they can figure that all out later, asking him to explain everything there is to know about this current situation and what powers they're able to use so he can come up with some sort of strategy. And as Deku puts on his awkward smile and throws his cape over his shoulder, he powers up once again. Back at UA, Naruto takes a moment to gather himself and walks around the UA skybase platform, seeing if any of these strangely dressed people is alive. He checks on Mirko first, then sees a pair of young adults knocked out on the ground near her, and checks their pulse to find out that they're alive too, but barely. One of the two who he finds is a girl with blue short hair and a large wound in her stomach, and as Naruto reaches towards her to see if she's okay, she aims her arm at Naruto and a spiraling orange energy forms around it. As she says, "Wait! Who are you? Where's Shigaraki?" Naruto backs off a bit and puts his hands in the air saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, hold on. I'm the one with the questions here, lady. Just what exactly is going on here, and why are you so hurt? What even is a Shigaraki or whatever that is?" Nejire realizes that she's talking to a complete airhead, and she gets annoyed saying, "What do you mean what's a Shigaraki? That's the guy you just sent flying." And as Nejire raises her voice, we see a face coming out of the ground from below Naruto, who reacts quickly, jumping backwards as we see Mirio coming out of the ground, telling Naruto to keep his hands off of his friend. Naruto, confused, goes, "Oh, this again," and says, "Like I was trying to tell her, I'm lost and I don't know what I'm doing here or who you people even are, but I have to get back to my teachers who are all still in trouble and won't survive without me." And Mirio responds that, "I don't know what school you go to or what squadron you're supposed to be in, but we're in the same exact situation right now." That he doesn't understand how Naruto hasn't heard about it, but right now they're in the middle of a massive war against the villains, and the strongest one, Shigaraki, was here to crush them all and steal Deku's quirk to basically gain the power that he needs to rule the world. And Naruto makes an odd face saying, "Hold on, he wants to steal his quirk? Like his strange habits or weird foods that he eats?" But here Kurama steps in, telling Naruto that he doesn't sense any chakra at all in this world. So either everyone here is using sage chakra or something else entirely is happening. But as Naruto is trying to listen, behind him he gets a really bad vibe and he turns to see a skeleton crawling back onto the UA skybase, and he instantly meets eyes with it as the skeleton's eyes and muscles start to reform and it gasps for air. And Naruto thinks to himself, "This must be Shigaraki," and we see that Shigaraki actually starts to heal from the effects of the Rasen Shuriken. Shigaraki says, "Give me it," as he places his arm in front of him and releases a massive air blast from it that sends Naruto flying from the unexpected technique. And Naruto thinks to himself that this reminds him of wind-style Gale Palm Jutsu, but if they don't have any chakra, then something else must be powering their abilities, like the intangibility technique that he just saw from the blonde boy, or the spiraling energy he witnessed the girl generate. But this all just starts to hurt Naruto's head, trying to think about just where he is and how this would be possible, so Naruto lands and says, "This is too much thinking. But there's one thing that I do know. You," as he points to Shigaraki, "you want to kill all the heroes and take over the world, right? Then that actually makes this pretty easy. All I have to do is beat you to a pulp until you can't fight anymore, and then I'll have all of my answers." And as Naruto says this, he powers back up into QB Chakra mode, not going into Bijou mode because it doesn't last all that long and he has to conserve energy. And as he transforms, he watches Shigaraki starting to spawn massive hands and waves of fingers all around him. As Naruto thinks back to how the villain's other hands easily destroyed that small section of UA, so Naruto puts his fingers together and uses multi-shadow clone jutsu to summon a large group of clones who split off into separate areas to try and wipe away all of Shigaraki's extra hands using Rasengan. However, instead of decaying UA, all of the hands are actually facing towards Naruto, as for a moment the entire area around him is covered in a blinding light, and every hand or finger, big or small, on the UA skybase releases their own massive air burst, destroying Naruto's clones and actually knocking UA itself off of its trajectory. As Shigaraki pretty much rockets all of UA down towards the ground, intending to crash it on a city below them, where he'll then activate Decay as soon as they land to wipe everyone in the area away. He's pretty much doing what Ultron did in Avengers. Now, being blown high up into the sky from these jets of air, Naruto, as UA rushes towards the ground, does the only thing that he can think to do. He activates his Bijou mode, and in an instant he lands on UA, and at max speed, he grabs everyone on the surface, carrying them down to the city below using a new group of clones. As the the real Naruto rushes towards the ground below where Yue is falling. As the other clones bring the heroes to Naruto's real body, Best Jeanist holds Bakugo as Edgeshot is still working on healing the boy, and he asks Naruto what he plans on doing now to save them from the falling Yue. And without saying a word, strange orange and yellow energy starts to come out of the ground, forming a shape of a giant transparent nine-tailed fox covered in lines. And we see that Naruto actually protects the heroes on the ground by placing them within the cover of Kurama's chakra, which also should slightly boost any sort of natural healing processes that they have, but at the same time, the large chakra form of Kurama multiplies in size by a factor of at least 10. Naruto's Kurama truly gets massive as Naruto prepares an incredible tailed beast bomb to blow the school and Shigaraki away in one blast. However, Jeanist, kind of catching on to what's going on here, screams to Naruto that they still have hundreds of friends inside that were supporting them, and in that moment Naruto screams, "Huh? Why didn't you tell me that before? Jeez, I was about to blow them to bits." And with no time to really react, Naruto turns to look up and goes with the one strategy that he has left in his brain, as Naruto and Kurama both scream in unison, and together they catch Yue with Kurama's tails and arms. And from the tails we see chakra spreading into the corridors and areas of Yue hidden beneath the surface, grabbing and retrieving every person that he can sense inside of Yue with the tails. And as Naruto senses that everyone is inside of Kurama, he retracts the tails, and we see everyone wearing similar Naruto Bijou mode cloaks as he says, "Now, everyone together, put your hands forward." And all around Kurama's tails, we see large Rasengans starting to form, which Naruto then slams all at the same time into the base of Yue, completely turning the entire campus into dust and debris that still crashes down on sections of the town, but the worst of the damage is avoided. However, wait a minute. Where's Shiraoki? In this moment, Naruto feels a cold chill run down his spine, and in his mind, he actually hears Kurama scream, a sound of fear coming from his friend that he's never heard before. And as Naruto looks down, he sees something that shouldn't be there. Coming from the ground, we see a hand latched onto Naruto's ankle, and as Naruto stares at it getting weaker and weaker and barely even really able to react to it, Naruto thinks, this is bad. The hand comes out of the ground attached to Shigaraki, who throws Naruto by the ankle, sending him flying into a nearby building as the giant Kurama starts to fade away, and everyone from Yue for the most part lands safely on the ground as Shigaraki yells, "Splendid! Magnificent! What is this power? I don't know who you are, but you've given me the greatest gift." And in that moment, we cut away to see Naruto struggling to stand up with a massive pain in his stomach as he realizes just what it was that this man Shiraoki did to him, that somehow Shigaraki stole Kurama.